What is going on, sales leaders? Dominic here with Gross University on another beautiful Warrior Wisdom Walk. I want to first of all thank you for walking with me today. Got a really great topic I'm excited to share, but I wanted to announce that next week I'm going to be turning 40, and I'm actually pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. A lot of people moan and groan about getting older, turning 40. I think getting older is an honor and a privilege, and there's a lot of older books that claim that, especially men and women, they really start achieving more wisdom in their life when they hit their 40s and beyond. So of course, I'm excited to continue learning and growing as a man and achieving more wisdom so I can share more wisdom with all of you. And the wisdom I'm going to share today on this Warrior Wisdom Walk is all about ride-alongs. And of course, I'm referring to the field manager or the performance coach that is going to be riding along with their salespeople to ideally enhance their performance. And that's one thing I just want to make clear. Like, you got to be relentless and obsessed with fine-tuning and enhancing the performance of your reps all the time. You know, a lot of times people will go weeks and months without really coaching or mentoring or educating any of their reps. And I think the most priceless way to do that is to actually go see them play a live game, get in the trenches with your reps, and either do a demonstrational or an observational ride-along. So I'm going to talk about both of those on this Warrior Wisdom Walk, and essentially how those ride-alongs should be structured in order to get the maximum value out of that experience for both the sales leader and the sales professional that you're riding with. So the first thing I want to mention about ride-alongs is you should not just be riding along with your bottom performers. So if you're currently running a sales team right now and you're only riding along with people when they're failing to hit their benchmarks or when they're struggling, you're doing it wrong. So ride-alongs is something that can benefit everyone, and ideally you should be riding with everybody as frequently as you can. The reason why is because when you ride along with a superstar that's doing it right and doing a lot of amazing things, wouldn't it be nice to actually see how they're doing it and what they're doing and why they're doing it, so you can share that information with the rest of the team to help elevate everybody? Plus, in my experience of riding along with salespeople for many, many years, I learned that when I ride along with somebody that's doing good, one of my stronger reps, it still was amazing to me how many little areas they can improve upon, where you can turn a $2.5 million rep into a $3.5 million rep, fine-tuning their skill set, right? So don't only ride with the bottom of the barrel and the underperformers, because then you're going to create an environment where ride-alongs seem like a punishment. Ride-alongs only they have negative stigma to them. I don't want ride-alongs to feel like a punishment. I want ride-alongs to be a normal part of our everyday sales culture, because we're always trying to grow, elevate, and improve as a team. And it's amazing how much we can all learn from one another when every rep is being rode with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm not saying don't help your bottom performers, but don't only focus your ride-along time on the bottom performers. Share the love with absolutely everybody, because you can turn a good rep into great, a great rep into legendary. It's crazy how with top performers, how you can make a couple tweaks to their masterful presentation or their closing strategy, and they're just off to the races. It's just crazy. So share the love with everybody. So that's the first point I wanted to make on this Warrior Wisdom Walk. Everybody should be rode with at some point. The second point I want to make, when you hear the word ride-along, what is really the headline of ride-alongs? Riding a freaking along with your salespeople. Now, the reason why I'm saying this and joking about it is most sales teams, the way I see their field management handling ride-alongs is they meet the salesperson at the prospect's house. And this is a recipe for disaster, because not only are they riding with the bottom performers, so ride-alongs seem like a punishment, they have negative stigma, but then you meet the salesperson at the house, and how does the salesperson feel about this whole experience? So the manager's meeting him at the house, the sales rep's nervous as hell, they're uncomfortable, they already have high levels of stress, they're already on the brink of fight or flight before the sales encounter even started. It's an absolute formula for disaster, and it's not really fair to that salesperson, because you're not setting them up for success, right? because we know that how you start the sales encounter has a major impact on how you finish it. So what's my point? You got to ride along with the salesperson somehow, some way, before the lead. Ride along. So meet them at a parking ride, meet them at your office, meet them at a gas station, meet them somewhere, meet them at their house, meet them prior to the day of lead running, and ride along with them so you can have an intelligent briefing session on the way to the first appointment. They can blow out the lines, they can vent, they can get whatever is on their mind off their mind. You can get them to calm down, get comfortable and relax. Ideally get them in a positive state of mind. So by the time you even get to the first lead or the first sales encounter, they're already in the right positive mental state, and you give them the upper hand to deliver the best performance they can. So it's so valuable. Now, those of you watching this that use tools like Zero and Rilla and any of these virtual ride-along speech analytics technologies, you know, sometimes they say this is going to end ride-alongs. It doesn't end ride-alongs, but what it does, it's an absolute priceless gift for that field manager to already have data and information and the strategy in mind for exactly how to course correct that salesperson. So imagine if you can have X-ray vision, full visibility as to exactly what's been happening on the sales encounters. So you already know before you even get in the car with that salesperson what that salesperson needs to improve upon and how you're going to course correct them along the way. That's all part of that initial briefing. And it's not just bad mouthing, by the way, and all the things that they need to improve upon. I want to boost their confidence, stroke their ego a little bit. So I want to focus on things that they're doing good at. I want to compliment them and encourage them to keep building on the things that they're doing well, and then let them know that there's a couple patterns and trends based on the data that feel would benefit them exponentially if they can improve upon. And of course, direct your attention to those things on the next sales encounter. So yeah, data-driven decisions, ride along with the rep, have a strong briefing session on the way to the lead, and make sure you give them the opportunity to get in the right mental state so they're not all stressed out and nervous and uncomfortable right when you go to the customer's house and you meet them there. Now, when you're riding along with a salesperson, a lot of sales leaders get confused when I say this, but your job is to be a fly on the wall and get the best representation you can of what happens when you are not present. And the reason why that's important is sales managers and field managers love to intervene and get involved into the sales process when they see a sales rep floundering or getting thrown off. So one thing I make clear when I'm riding along with any sales rep before we go into the house is I am not going to help them in any form of the fashion. I'm not going to help them whatsoever. I am merely there observing. I'm a fly on the wall. It's their lead. If the customer asks them a question, they're not to look at me for the answer. I'm not going to answer it. They got to figure it out. I want to see how they can be creative, think on their feet, and solve the problems, challenges, and obstacles that are going to be thrown at them. Because that's, again, how you empower salespeople. You don't empower them by doing things for them. You empower them by giving them the training, tools, encouragement to do it on their own accord. So you got to be a fly in the wall. Now, the way I explain it to salespeople before we go into the house is the following. I say, this is your lead. I'm going to be a fly in the wall. I am going to be taking notes because the dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. That way, if there's things I see that you definitely want to build upon or improve, or things you're doing well that I want to make sure you continue to do, I'm going to try to write those things down so we can have an intelligent debrief after the appointment's over, right? But I want to let you know I'm not going to help at all. I want you to take this appointment as far as you can possibly go. Do everything you can to close this sale. I want to see you lay it all out on the field. However, I will tell you, deep into the close, at the end of the sales encounter, when all hope is lost, there's nothing more you can do. You're ready to throw in the towel, wave the white flag of surrender. At that point, you're going to signal me. And at that point, I will come in and try to do what I can to save the deal. But until that point, I'm not going to intervene whatsoever. And that's really hard for a sales leader, right? Because it's hard to bite your tongue when you see your sales rep floundering and struggling. But it's almost like I want them to crash and burn because I want to see exactly what happens when they get hit with challenges, when they get hit with obstacles, because that's priceless information in order for me to course correct and get them to improve. So if I just come in and save the day, let's say they're struggling in the close and I just jump in and close it for them, now I'm not getting a realistic representation of what happens when I'm not there. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now, in that little vignette, you heard me talk about writing things down. I almost never see field managers actually writing a detailed evaluation on the sales encounter. So it is so important, because the dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. And one thing to keep in mind is if you don't write it down, it never happened. And that's true with anything. If you don't write it down, it never happened. So I want to make sure I'm taking detailed notes throughout the entire sales encounter on everything I'm seeing. So we know that 93% of communication is not the words they're saying, but how they're delivering the message, right? So am I looking at their body language, their voice inflection, their facial expressions, their hand gestures, their rate of speech, their patience level, all those things, how they're smiling, eye contact, handshakes, all this stuff. Are they getting the commitments? Am I looking for all these little fine details? Because that's all the little things that can make all the difference. Remember, it's not what you say that matters, it's how the prospect perceives what you're saying that matters. And that's where all that stuff is super valuable, which, by the way, the 93% of communication that I just got done talking about, this is why doing in-person ride-alongs will never be replaced, because you can't get the entire picture just listening to an audio clip. So you got to be able to see what's happening in the house, so that what you see with your own eyes, right, is going to give you a lot of insight as to how the sales rep's conducting themselves. But every step, so the intro, the needs assessment, the measure inspection, the company story, evolution, product presentation, I'm jotting down notes on each step of the process, and ideally grading and scoring that rep on how they navigated that step of the sales encounter. So that at the end of every ride along, I can literally grade them on how they performed. They have a scorecard. Every single step has detailed notes on the things they're doing well, the things I loved, and also a few areas I'd like them to improve. And at the end is a summary. So here's the top areas of improvement I want them to focus on. Here's their strong suits, the things they're doing well, with an action plan, right? And the sales rep should have a physical copy of this. So at the end, after we get done with the ride along, we go back in the car, I'm able to go through my notes. We have an intelligent debrief. They get a physical copy of it. I have a copy of it for my own records. And now there's full accountability. And this is how salespeople can absolutely continue to grow and thrive with each ride along. Now, in the spirit of riding along, one thing I want you field managers to think about, or your performance coaches, is when you're riding along with a rep, you should be dedicating the entire day to course correcting that rep, getting them back on track. And there's several different things you can do with that time. Let's say hypothetically, I'm paired up with a rep for a day, and we have a 10 o'clock and a 6 o'clock appointment. So we have 2 appointments for that day, right? So that leaves 4 hours in between those leads or more, where I can do a lot of role playing with that salesperson. So instead of just going back home, going run some errands and meeting them at the next appointment, the time in between leads, if you have any downtime, take them out to lunch, role play, and actually drill and rehearse those steps of the sale that you want to practice with them. It's really unfair just to throw shit at your salespeople and say, okay, figure it out, and you don't actually spend the time drilling and coaching them, right? So invest that time. I find that if you dedicate one full day to course correcting a rep, that can replace like several days, 3 or 4 days of just doing these little touch points, right? You're wasting so much time. So just picture in your mind, okay, when I'm paired up with a rep, it's like having a full schedule that day. I'm on full time, and I'm dedicating the entire day to turning the salesperson around. Now, you field managers, you gotta make the determination with salespeople. Is it gonna be more beneficial for me just to observe them? Or does this salesperson just need to see how it's done systematically by me, where I can lead by example and show them how to follow the system correctly? Because until they see it being done correctly, they're always going to be skeptical that the way the system's trained in the classroom is the right way to do it. You know, we can talk about stuff philosophically in the classroom all day long, But until they see it being done in reality with a real prospect, they're always going to be a little skeptical. Maybe they have a better way of doing things. So I find that one of my superpowers as a field sales manager, as a performance coach, is being able to do demonstrational ride-alongs where I'm actually running the lead and they're observing me writing an evaluation. That's so priceless, and I would even encourage them, record me on your phone, the audio, not the video, but record me on your phone, listen to it, study it, break it apart, put it back together. I need you to see and understand why the system is structured the way it is, and how when you deliver the master presentation properly, funnel the process and get it to the green, that the close becomes a natural conclusion. When they see it actually come together, when you lead by example that way, now they're bought in. Now they're like, it makes sense to me now. I'm going to start taking this seriously because I want to get to that level. So those of you doing this, if you're a field manager coaching a team, you got to learn that playbook forwards and backwards. You should know the system better than anybody. That doesn't mean you should be the best salesperson on your team, but you should know the system and the playbook better than anybody. And I want to be able to lead by example. That's how I get them bought in. That's how I get them to believe. A salesperson that doesn't believe in the system is not going to be able to perform whatsoever. So it's so important that I transfer that belief to that salesperson by leading by example and doing those demonstrational ride-alongs when it makes sense. So there's several things I just want to recap here, just kicking this off. Of course, if you have a speech analytics software like Xero or Rilla, use that data to make sure that I go into every ride-along prepared with an action plan and exactly what the sales rep needs to improve upon. Taking that data with me and actually riding along with that salesperson on the way to the appointments and investing the whole day with them. Because before the first lead, I want to be able to get them to relax, vent, blow out the lines, talk them off a ledge, get them in the right mental state so they can go into that first meeting with loads of confidence, feeling optimistic, feeling confident and positive. So much of this is the 6 inches between your ears, right? So it's all about their mindset. Skill set we're going to work on, but they got to get in the right mindset. And we want to make sure they have the right momentum. When you're observing your reps, write a detailed evaluation. If it doesn't get written down, it never happened. The dullest pencils are in the sharpest memory. And I want myself, for my personal records as a sales leader, to have a copy of that evaluation. And I want the salesperson to also have a copy of it, so they have something tangible to take back with them for full accountability. They know exactly what we need to improve upon to elevate our skills. Make sure after a ride-along, I do an intelligent debrief, going through that evaluation step by step. Again, focusing on building up their confidence and their ego. You don't want to have a debrief where it's like, well, you sucked at this, you sucked at that, this was terrible, why did you do this? Come on. Just beating their confidence and ego to the ground. So I want to boost them up, get them to believe in themselves. And it's all these little things that can truly make a difference. You want to be a positive inspiration for them, but then giving them that action plan, right? In between leads, if there's time, role play with them, drills for skills. If you truly dedicate a full day to one rep, it's crazy how much progress you can make turning them around. And then don't be afraid every now and then to mix in a demonstrational ride-along where you're leading by example. And I get it, that requires that you put in the work to master the system, but to me, how the hell are you going to coach any team effectively if you don't know the playbook? So if you're leading a team, if you're field manager, step one, you have to know that playbook better than anybody. Master the system. That way you can confidently go into a house, run a sales encounter leading by example, and have that sales rep witness and experience for themselves, step by step, the way it's trained, that leading to the close being the natural conclusion and a successful outcome. So very, very vital stuff. There's a lot of things missing. So just to recap again, what a lot of field managers do, they don't ride along with the rep, they don't use data, there's no preparation, they meet them at the house, they just observe them, they intervene, they chime in, they don't let the rep run the appointment, they take over, and there's no debrief, nothing's written down, there's no action plan. Like, you're doing your salespeople a significant disservice, right? So I find that if you can invest one day and do it correctly, you can have profound impact on this individual and turn them around faster than you can imagine. And make sure you're riding along with everyone. This is not just a punishment. This is not just something that's tailored for the underperformers. I want to ride with everybody because I can make a good rep great, a great rep legendary, I can learn from my top reps. I learned more from my salespeople personally than I did from any seminar I've ever attended or any book I've ever read. By observing them and learning the amazing creative things they do to navigate the sales process. And if reps are selling 3-4 million, doing things a certain way, wouldn't I want to share that with my other reps? So this is why it's so valuable for you to ride with everyone. And again, to eliminate the whole negative stigma and feeling of punishment when you ride along with your salespeople. So ride-alongs are an absolute gift, so make sure you take them seriously. I get it, it's a lot easier just to meet a rep at a house, watch them, and do nothing about it. But if you invest the whole day, write things down, make this a data-driven endeavor, make sure you prepare for this. It's amazing the power of ride-alongs when done correctly and how it can help you build a high-performance dream team unlike anything else out there. So if you desire a high-performance team, first of all, ride with your reps, do it right. If you need additional coaching on this, obviously, you can reach out to Grassi University. I spend most of my days working with sales leaders and owners on these exact subject matters. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is these are topics fresh in my mind that I'm actively working with organizations all over the country. So I just want to let everybody know that you're twice as good as you think you are, and that's only half the truth. I want to thank you for your time here on this Warrior Wisdom Walk. Your time is extraordinarily valuable. Make sure you like and subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you took away some value. And on behalf of the entire Grassi University team, yes, you are a closer.